Joe here from Bulwell Forest Garden, and I'm working from my allotment today, so I thought I'd try and give you a few tips that maybe you can carry out in your own gardens at home. So I've just arrived at my allotment and I'm thinking about what I need to prioritise. So in these beds here I sowed some seeds down here, so I've got some carrots and there's some turnip which have started to come up quite quickly in a few days, and 2 rows of radish, and these ones haven't come up yet, and I've got some peas, but it's got quite dry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to water the rows gently, but I'm going to make sure that I use a rose on the end of the watering can so I'm not drowning the seedlings and washing them out. I've looked after my seedlings here, so the next thing I'm going to do is try and make sure that the existing plants that I've got, I'm looking after them. So over here I've got some nice clumps of sorrel, which is really good at the moment just to get fresh leaves to use on salad or sandwiches. So just to make sure I get lots of nice new growth for my family to eat, I'm going to give these a nice drink, and I don't need to use a rose on these because they're quite robust, established plants. And I've got a few little chive plants. I'm going to give them a bit of water to get them going. And then the other plants that I'm going to prioritise watering in this dry spell are rhubarb, which like it nice and wet, and my rhubarb patches over here. So I'm going to give this a really good drink down at its base. We don't need to water the leaves, it's the roots that need water. And also, while I'm here, the rhubarb's trying to go to flower, probably because it's been quite dry. So I'm going to pull off these flower stalks, which look like that, because I don't want the plant to go to seed too quickly. I want it to form nice stalks that I can eat. So there's a few of them, and I'm just going to pull them off. These are my new broad bean plants, all just emerging through the earth here. I'm going to just get my finger down. There is dampness under there, but just to get them off to a good start, I'm going to water along the rows, and I'm not using the rows because again these are quite robust plants and I'm not going to wash the seeds out. What I've also done here is I've got some spiky sort of hedge cuttings down, and mainly I've done that to try and stop mice, because it deters mice from coming on and digging up the seeds and eating them. You can see we've got lots of rows of potatoes in, which actually look, the soil does look incredibly dry, but I'm not going to water these today because I'm hoping it's going to rain at the weekend. And also when I planted the potatoes, I did them in trenches and watered at the bottom, so there should be plenty of moisture down there. Strawberry plants are quite shallow rooted, so you need to make sure they're not too bad, but I will give them a drink just to get them going. And a good thing to do with these is after you've watered is to actually get a mulch on if you can find anything, compost. Any homemade compost or shreddings are quite good, just to try and lock that moisture in so that the plants can do this. It's had a compost mulch already, which is probably why it looks a bit dry. Maybe the moisture hasn't. See, it is moist down there, and that's because the mulch has sort of done its job. My onion sets. So I planted these a few weeks ago. They've been quite slow. We've got rows going down here, and I've put this wire over it just temporarily to stop the birds from pecking the seeds out. And just because I want to get these going fast, again I'm going to give a water. One of them's come out there. I'll bob that one back in. And I'm not using the rows because again they've got a developed root system. I'm not going to wash them out. And I'm just going to go down the rows. I don't need to water in between the rows, I just need to focus on the actual onion sets themselves. Before I leave I might gather some nettle tops, just the tips. I'm going to put some gardening gloves on and cut some tips off, and there'll be a really nutritious thing that I can put in tonight's soup along with the sorrel. And that's today's gardening tips.